Good evening, everyone. It's that time again where we're having another artist interview for the Virtual Art Fair prize exhibition. So tonight we have Richard Freer and Sally Bramble, and Sally's going to have, give us an amazing demonstration this evening. So I hope you're all going to be watching. So if you bear with me a couple of minutes, I'll get the artists on board. We can start.
Hi, Lucy.
Hey, Sally, how are you doing?
Oh, I'll just turn you down a bit. I'm good. Are you? How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Wow, look at this vibrant painting behind you.
Yeah. Oh, good, good. Well, it's got to have a bit of your art. You've got lovely stuff behind you as well. What is it?
So this is just, classic landscape woodlands.
Yeah. Mine are classic
So,
flowers.
it's what you have to do, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw you had a piece in the Icon in Birmingham as well.
Yeah, it's there at the moment,
Which
is fabulous. They've done a really lovely exhibition for kind of artists that have come through lockdown without much work, sort of thing. So they've just basically, allowed Birmingham artists to show at their gallery, which is really good. It's amazing. It's a lovely gallery. Have you been there?
Not yet. I've got my tickets booked,
Yeah.
so I'll
Oh,
be
have
going around
you?
to see it
Oh,
all.
excellent. Oh,
Yes.
that's good. That's good. Cool.
But yeah,
Lovely.
the 3D tour was really great though, wasn't it? The way that it
Yeah.
zooms out on all the floors and then you get to
Yeah.
see just all the
Yeah.
work,
Yeah,
which is
it's
great.
really
So
good. Yeah, I'm going on
yeah,
Saturday, so I haven't been yet. So I'm going to go and have a look in person, real gallery, an actual gallery.
fantastic. Okay. Well, for any of our non-UK or Birmingham watchers this evening, head over to the icon.org and you'll be able to see Sally's work in 3D. Right, let's see if we can find Richard, shall we? Where is he? Okay. Hope this works. I don't know. So, are you going to do a demo for us tonight?
I am only a little one, so I've got my bit of board here. So because I paint with encaustics, which is a wax, and you have to melt it on a hot plate in order to paint it onto the board. It needs to be something firm and absorbent. So I do it on thick paper, but it has to be really thick, so it doesn't crack. So so I'm all prepped for you.
Perfect. Okay. All right. We'll just wait a few more minutes.
Oh, he's joined. I can see that he's joined on there.
He's joined. Okay. Oh, don't you love it when we're live?
I know. We've had to just get used to it this year, haven't we? It's like, Teams meetings where, just like, I'm going to have to go out and then come back in again and all that stuff, But, yeah, just a new way of working, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is indeed. It's, tricky. Let's try again. Hopefully.
It's still saying you're there, I think.
I've invited Richard.
I think he has to invite himself as well, doesn't he? Sort of accept your invitation.
Yeah. Maybe he doesn't want to.
Wouldn't blame him, to be fair.
Oh, no. Okay. Please bear with us, everyone, while we're just getting our second artist on board.
Is it peeing down where you are?
It was, but now it's just You know what? The wind is,
Yeah.
it's just gales.
I have
just
to have my
crazy.
studio ventilated because it can be toxic when it gets too hot. So just in case, I always have the double doors wide open, which means that with the wind blowing, it cools down the wax too much and goes hard. So I'm hoping I've got the balance right tonight.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to be working quick.
Yeah.
I think. Okay. Invited. Ooh. So while we wait, do you want to give just a
Shall I
little bit of
the
your
rundown?
background?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started off in fashion design and trained at the London College of Fashion. So nothing to do with kind of fine art or anything, but I suppose I've always been quite arty. And then have been painting probably for the last about 18 years, something like that. So I discovered encaustic in 2007, and I haven't really looked back. It's just been my medium of choice for forever now. So I do mix it up. I do kind of mix it up with other things, but it tends to always have encaustic in there somewhere. So what I'm going to do tonight is start off with alcohol inks, and then start layering on the wax. And I always end up with a little bit of sparkle in the form of some sparkly pigment, just to add a little twinkle.
So can you just can you maybe explain what encaustic means for anyone that anyone's listening and they're like, what is that?
What the heck's that? It's an ancient. It was used by the ancient Greeks actually, and it's because it's so archival, because it's wax, it repels moisture. So a lot of the artwork from that time is still around. So that's one of the added advantages, is that it does last for a long time. Because it doesn't absorb moisture. So and encaustic actually means burn. So because it needs to be melted, and you fuse it in between layers with a heat gun or a one of these. They look big and mean. But yeah, it's to basically fuse the layers, because they flake otherwise. So you have to fuse in between each layer to kind of seal it all together, which is why it's very good for kind of, collage and that kind of thing. You can add things to it, and it sort of melts into the wax. So it's good for 3D work. You can build it up as well. It's sort of, the more you brush over with the wax, it builds up and up, so you can get quite sculptural effects, which is I've kind of chosen a little one to sort of try and show you a little bit of the texture that you get on there. Can you kind of see that? It's sort of quite bumpy. So you can either build it up like that, or you can scrape it and then melt it into a smooth surface. So I quite like to polish it up afterwards, so that you've got a bit of shine on there. But you don't have to. You can, have it matte, or add things onto the top of it to melt it in. But, so I love it. It's just so versatile. You can do anything with it, really.
It's amazing, really. So I don't really want, just in case I don't want to.
Do you want me to start? So, I mean, obviously Richard said that he would ask some questions at the beginning and then ask them at the end. But I mean, I'm quite happy to just go straight into the demo if you're trying to get him in. And just make a start on it if you want, because otherwise we might run out of time. Okay, so.
Oh, hang on, we've got Richard.
Again, I've managed to get it in the end.
Have you had some technical problems?
What I'm doing wrong, but obviously I figured it out in the end, so sorry about that.
That's all right. Do you want me to crack on with it, Richard? Because otherwise we might run out of time. Did you want to sort of? I've just given a little bit of a brief overview of what encaustic is, but was there anything you wanted to kind of ask before I started?
Well, I thought it'd be nice just to ask you about your work a bit first, and just talk about different things about your work, and then maybe just talk about what you're going to be doing for us today.
Okay. So I am kind of mainly inspired by you know, nature and just anything kind of landscapes or flowers or trees. I just love the seasons, so I tend to do sort of seasonal work. Doing a lot of blossoms at the moment for obvious reasons, but you know, it just whatever I find inspiring. But I was just saying to Lucy that I've been using encaustic since about 2007, and it's and it was used by the ancient Greeks. And it lasted that long because it's so archival. The wax is moisture repellent, so it lasts for a long time. So I do use other things. I mix it up, but there's always some wax in there somewhere. So I need to fuse in between layers so it doesn't flake. If you don't do that, it just kind of falls off. So yeah, you always have to make sure that you're sort of joining the layers up so they don't crack or flake. And then
I've never tried it myself before.
it's a bit of a complicated. Once you've got the setup, it's absolutely lovely. You need to have a hot plate, and you need to have the heat gun and all your things to put your paint in and that sort of thing. But I use paints from R&F paints. So these are the wax blocks. So you basically melt that on the hot plate. I haven't really got much of a. Do you want me to sort of turn the phone around a bit so that you can see the hot plate? Let me have a go.
Well, that'd be great.
Did I just turn you off? Oh no. There. Can you see the hot plate there? Yeah. So that's where I melt the waxes.
Okay.
So do you want me to crack on and make a start?
That'd be fantastic. I look forward.
I'm going to do it on board. It needs to be pretty firm. And I'm going to start with alcohol inks because they dry quickly, so you can get a good base layer background. So I'll stand up. So I'm going to go for lime green, apple green, and some blues as well. I'll just keep going. Oh, actually, can you see my oh, yeah, you can sort of see it, can't you? Not very well.
I can. Yeah. I can see it. Yes.
So I'm just putting some inks out in my palette, and then I water them down with a bit of rubbing alcohol.
Okay.
So I'm going to just blotch this on. It's quite good for sort of creating some sort of dappled tree background.
So does the wax go on first and then the paint on top?
No, so this is going straight onto paper, which I've stuck on board. This is the alcohol inks first.
Okay, sure,
so
yeah.
Just do a base layer of that.
Yep.
Get some colour on there. I loved your blossom one from last week, actually, Richard. That was lovely.
Yeah, you probably know a lot more about flowers than me, actually, because I really enjoy painting flowers. I don't always know the names.
I often have to, if I take photos of something I like the look of, I often have to put it on Facebook and say, does anyone know what this is? I'm going to paint it. I need to know what it is.
I know.
But yeah, there's some lovely blossom out there at the moment.
There is.
So I like to cover the whole lot, and then what I do then is drip some alcohol ink on there to give it even more of a dappled look. So I've got my alcohol ink Nutella jar. Just have a little syringe of that and just drop it on. and it dries really quickly. So that's one of the reasons I use it. So give it a bit of an air. So then I'm going to do some bits of pink, because I've decided to do some cherry blossom today. I've got a little sketch, because normally I have a photo on my phone. Obviously I'm using my phone, so I've done a little sketch as a reference. So it's a different brush. Just going to blob some of the pink on. My daughter has just turned up in the absolute pouring rain out there to laugh at me.
Yes.
Don't you just love that, supportive spirit? She's watching me on the phone. Right, so that's that bit. So I'm going to put some branches on there. I've got like a brownie colour, but I'm going to add a bit of red to that. So I'm going to do some branches using my sketch. Can you tell me if you can't see it, Richard? Because I don't know really how much you can.
Yeah, I can see it. Yes, yes. It's nice to be able to see the technique you're using as well, and the way you're applying it.
It's funny, isn't it? Because as artists, you don't really watch anybody else, do you? It's kind of quite a lonesome thing. I mean, I've always done it on my own. Never really kind of watched anybody else that much. So I'm going to do some leaves.
Is that like a flat brush you're using?
It's just a watercolour brush, actually. I just find that they give quite a nice line. Right, okay, so just make sure it's dry, because otherwise the wax won't stick to it. So I've got a big thing of clear wax medium, which I'm going to put over the top to give it a layer of wax. These brushes, you do have to look out for the hairs. Sometimes have to fish them out of the wax afterwards.
It's amazing how quickly you can put the wax on.
Yeah, you have to. You have to, because otherwise it goes hard, and it's a very quick, which is why it's ideal really for doing this kind of thing, because it is such a quick process. But I have to fuse it now to kind of so that it goes into the paper and sticks. It's a bit of a boring part of it. So I'm just hold it up. So if you hold it on there, it blows it around too much. So you have to kind of be quite quick with it.
Okay.
Just make sure I've got it covered. It's actually quite liquidy on there. So it cools straight away.
So the wax interacts with the colours underneath, with the paint underneath.
It does. They do come back. It goes cloudy when you first fuse it, but then once you've painted it, you can polish it and it comes clear.
Okay.
Right, so that's pretty much covered. So now I'm going to start with the wax colours. So I'm going to start with some sort of ready brown leaves, because I'm doing the cherry blossom. And I tend to use quite a lot of the medium to dilute it so that it's quite translucent. So I like that. I love that about encaustic, is that you can get that translucence.
And I suppose you could layer the colours, can't you? So different colours shine through from underneath.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to... Right, okay, so I'm going to do some flowers now. So I've got a few pinks. So these are all my bits of wax.
Okay.
I'll mix it up with the pinks a bit. I normally take a lot longer than this, but you know, it's got to be reasonably quick, haven't we? So so I'm going to do some buds first of all. And then I'll do some of the flowers. Right, now I've got to fuse it again. Right, looking right.
Oh yeah. So the flowers you just put on there with the bush, do they have like a wax mix in there?
Yeah,
or?
it's so the paint is made of beeswax resin and damar resin and pigment. So the resin is to harden it, because the beeswax would be too soft; it wouldn't go completely hard. So I'm going to do a little bit of orange on the flowers. And a bit of green. My favourite green, I love it. I wish I could get all of the colours from but they come from America, so they're not cheap. It's the only place that makes them, as far as I know.
Yeah,
as far as I know, that's the only place I've ever come across. But
yeah,
trust me to like the most expensive paint. So I'm putting on a bit of...
It's worth it though.
It is.
You get some great effect.
And and I think it's not that many people use it, which is nice, because it's it's an interesting thing to talk to people about.
Definitely.
you do ruin your brushes with encaustic. You can't really use them for anything else after you've used them for wax.
Yeah, it must be difficult to clean the brushes afterwards. I can
Yeah,
imagine.
you clean. I clean it with what kind of wax it? It's a different. It's a cheaper wax basically, and I just clean them out with that.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have to use you sort of squeeze it out with a something hard. I use old credit cards or that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're ready, if you want to hold it up to the camera, and we can.
Okay. It's not done yet,
look.
obviously, but
Right.
I'll show you what it's looking like so far.
Yep.
I don't know if you can.
Oh, yeah, lovely.
So I'm going to put a bit more colour into the, so it's got a bit more variation. So I do quite like this nice. This is a neon neon wax. I do like a bit of neon now and again. I'm going to put that.
It's nice to highlight.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to be careful when you're fusing because it moves around. So if you hold it on there for too long, it just kind of goes light and spreads. So you have to do it just enough to not make it move, but you need to melt it enough to. So it's just a learning thing, really. You kind of get to know your medium.
Yeah.
Right. Right, I'm going to do a bit of sparkle. So this is just metal flake. You actually use it to spray cars. I don't know. I use it to melt into my wax. So I'm just going to put a little touch of sparkle in the middle. And then I have to, so it melts into it, so it doesn't come off. It's not like something that where the glitter comes off. So, but I have to warm this up first, otherwise it'll blow it around. I'm not sure if you can see the sparkle on there, but it's.
That's fantastic.
And then now I've got a heated pen that I use. It basically can pick up some of the wax, so I use that for little details. So I've got some nice gold here. So I'll just put some little dots. Hold it up a bit.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So
Interesting to see the different tools you use for the different
just think
different things.
you're probably the same. You just collect things over the years, don't you? And think, oh, that could work. So my latest thing
That's great
actually
idea.
is that I've bought. Where is it? I thought I'd try these. I haven't tried them yet, but this is like used for batik fabric, and it's a traditional tool. So I'm going to try putting a bit of wax in there. Then you're heating that up, and then hopefully it will come out of this little spout here, and I can draw lines with it.
Yeah, that'll be.
But I also use these pens that are oil-based pens, so they're quite good for drawing lines as well. So kind of mix it up quite a lot. Right, so lastly, I'll just make my flowers a little bit more chunky. And my last fuse. And I think that's pretty much it. So that's the end result.
Oh, lovely! That's really nice.
Cool.
Yeah, fantastic. I love how the colours come through from the background. You know,
they do.
Change
so,
the colours in the
yeah, like I said, the colours do come through. That it's just once the wax is cooled down, it's quite a nice effect. It looks quite sort of glowy. And that's another one I showed Lucy earlier, that you can kind of see. I showed you this, didn't I? I think you can see the bumpy bits on it. So it's quite sort of when it had a bit of a polish. So that's pretty much it, I think. So is there anything that you wanted to ask me?
I mean, it was great to see your painting. I loved to see the techniques you used and the different way you created different effects. I really like how there's, as you say, the colours come through. It's almost like watercolour, isn't it? The colours are coming through underneath, and you sort of have to figure out how they're going to change and that sort of thing. So you must have to
like that, really. I suppose. Like oils, you can just layer it on and cover up mistakes, but it's much harder with watercolours and encaustic, I think, because you kind of, once it's on, it's on. You can scrape the wax off, but you're not going to get, it's you're a bit mucky. It doesn't always get the effect that you want if you scrape it off, but you can use scraping to kind of smoothen it out, so you can get all the lumps and bumps off and then fuse it and it's quite marble-like. If you polish it up, it can be quite nice, like that.
And also the different tools you use as well, because you were using the brushes, to create the petals and things, and then you're using the other tools for the more detailed work. So, as you say, you probably use a range of different tools to do different effects, don't you?
Yeah. So I'm trying to think what else I use. I mean, I've used watercolours underneath as well, but obviously you have to wait for those to dry properly before you can put the wax on. But you can use watercolours underneath, and you can actually. If you've got textured paper, you can do the wax first, so that it just picks up on the bumps of the textured paper, and then watercolor over it, and it will absorb into the bits of paper that are raw, which is quite a nice effect as well. So it's.
And is it normally paper you use, or do you use different surfaces?
Different really. I just like to mix it up. But I always use the wax. That's always kind of at the basis of my painting. I love it. It's just, I think that is one of the things that actually inspires me most, is the actual paint. I don't know about you, but I just love the smell of it and everything, because it smells like honey, because it's beeswax. It smells like honey, and I do get the odd friendly bee coming in because they're attracted to it in the studio, and I have to rescue them and tell them, no, that's not where you need to be. But yeah.
But I like the compositions in the paintings as well. I like it how you compose the paintings, and there's a sense of balance and pattern in there as well. So you're obviously thinking a lot about that and trying to create some type of balance and movement within the paintings.
Yeah, I normally have a plan of some sort. I mean, it changes as I go along, but is either a sketch or a photo that I've taken. But I'll try and get that sort of composition in my head first, even if it's not down anywhere. Sort of know pretty much what shape it should be or what sort of thing I'm going to go for.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you, but I like.
Do you find that within your paintings that there is a certain amount of structure, but then there are things that are a little bit more, more or less, more slap it on and see what happens
definitely.
and experiment.
I've had so many disasters because of that, but it's just the way that I work. Really, I just like to just see what it needs as I go along. So you can plan as much as you like, but if it doesn't look quite how you want it, you can do what you want. You're the artist. You can change it how you like. There's no plan. But yeah, I generally have a bit of an idea. So like that, just a little sketch, just help to kind of remind you what you were thinking of doing. But do you have plans as well with yours? Do you kind of have a little sketch or?
Yeah, I have an idea in my head, and it normally sort of starts that way, but as it develops, it sort of takes on its own characters and things happen as I'm doing it. So yeah, it does change, but I'm sure it's the same for you.
I think sometimes as well, if you've done a painting that you really love and you try and do it again, or kind of not again, but kind of use those bits that work. It's never quite the same, is it? The second time, kind of. No. You have to just.
They're all individual, aren't they?
Totally. I've done that so many times where I think, oh yeah, I really like that one, so I might try something similar, and then it's like, no, it doesn't work. Yeah. Do you like painting big, or are you the paintings you had last week were really big, weren't they? So are you a?
Yeah, I work in all sizes actually. It all depends on the subject and really, what I'm trying to achieve. Do you work in different sizes yourself? So I noticed that quite a lot of your work is quite big as well.
Yeah, I do like working big. I can't work too big because by the time you've got the wax from the hot plate to the other side of the large painting, it's dried. So the largest I've done is it was 4 foot by 4 foot boards, big boards, but I've got a trolley. My hot plate's on a trolley, so I can actually move it around my table. I don't tend to be fair, because it's a bit of a pain. But I could go larger than the A1 behind me. I could probably do a 0, and that would be so twice that would probably be as big as I could go, comfortably. But yeah.
And you work. So do you work in your house, or do you have somewhere you can work in?
I'm really lucky because I've now got a studio in my garden. So my husband kindly built it for me about 6 years ago. Before that, I did have a break from painting with encaustics because I didn't have a studio. Once my daughter was born, she nicked the spare room. So I didn't have I was doing a lot of drawing then, which is it's always good. But yeah, it was brilliant when I got my studio. It's my little happy place. So I just stick my music on loud, come down here, and and I can see the garden as well. So I wave to the house, if I need to. But it's my place that I love the most, I think. So.
And I suppose being in your own studios, it helps you to focus a bit, doesn't it?
Definitely.
And less distractions.
Well, yeah, it's the time that you're doing something just for you, isn't it? Really. So
yes.
No one else's demands. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned earlier about the different seasons, so you will actually do the paintings relating to the different seasons. So do you photograph different things throughout the year?
Yeah, so I tend to be inspired by things when I'm out on my walks or runs and stuff, so it's just, I take the odd photos, and they're not great photos, but they're just a reminder so that I can remember what I was going to do later, sort of thing. So I tend to work on the seasons that are happening at the time rather than it doesn't feel right doing autumn pictures now at the moment because it's not autumn. But once autumn comes, I'll be like, oh yeah, it's all really inspiring, and start doing some autumn painting. I just really like, kind of going out on my walks and seeing the gardens kind of changing, So that's really where I get my inspiration. But I do sometimes kind of look things up specifically. I had I did a lot of sort of jungly paintings last year, which obviously we don't have jungle here. So I was looking up, you know, sort of jungle photos and taking inspiration from them. Yeah, but generally it's what's out there.
And have you exhibited your paintings in like a theme before? So, for example, a series of paintings about autumn, or you know, about the winter.
Not yet. I mean, I was due to have an exhibition last year with a friend of mine who's a photographer, and we decided to do a series of my paintings inspired by her photos, so, and then show them both in the exhibition. But that, yeah, it was May last year, and that got cancelled. So we're sort of, yeah, it'll happen sometime. But at the moment, there's quite a lot of things going on within Birmingham for artists. There's quite a lot of exhibitions that I'm part of, which is really nice, because after the year we've had, it's really nice to get back out there and get some things hanging on the wall and seeing, you know, people seeing them. It's just
definitely. Yeah. I mean, where would people go to see your work at the moment? Is there a good place
to it's the Icon.
To see?
I've got one in the Icon Gallery, and then I've got 6 in the Birmingham Contemporary Art Gallery, and then I've got one coming up at the Royal Birmingham Society of Artists. So that, I think, starts in the beginning of June. So yeah, that's enough for the time being for me. You know, it's kind of a bit of a shock being out there again, isn't it? But yeah, quite enjoyed all the painting time that I've had. It's been really lovely. I don't know about you, but I've spent so much time in the studio. It's just been my safe place, and you know, and I'm not really willing to give that up just yet.
No. Yeah, I'm glad you've been able to enjoy that and be very productive.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you have a website or anything like that?
I'm on Instagram. I haven't got a website yet, but I'm on Instagram under Sally Bramble Art, and I'm on Facebook under Sally Bramble Studio. So yeah, check it out. And I think we're friends on Facebook, on Instagram, aren't we? But yeah.
Yes.
And of course, obviously, the exhibition I forgot to mention just then was the virtual art fair. So we've got some of that as well, which is the whole purpose of this interview. Lovely. But yeah, all good. There's lots happening.
Yeah, it's been nice to actually, you know, see other artists and chat to them a little bit. And you know, I've been looking forward to seeing your demonstration. And you know, we haven't really had the chance to do that, have we? During lockdown, so it's nice to do it virtually.
I actually had a few people come and look at the studio, and it was like, oh, it's so exciting. Not just, you know, me seeing it, and my family being subjected to studio visits. You know, it's other people, which is lovely. So good.
Do you have any influences at all? Anybody that, you know, you're inspired by, or artists that you enjoy?
I love Howard Hodgkin. I love Yayoi Kusama. The Japanese lady with the dots, does all the polka dots. Yeah, love her work. There's lots of artists around at the moment that I really love as well on Instagram that I follow. There's Lucy Marks. I love her landscape, and Leslie Birch, I think her name is. I can't think I've got that right. A Scottish artist that I follow. But you know, I get lots. I only use Instagram for art stuff really, so I only follow artists or galleries, and you know, get inspiration every day from other people. I think that's just the nature of the game, isn't it? Just sort of see something and think, oh, I love those colours. You know, that's great.
Yeah, you always learn from other people, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. But I tend to go for brightly coloured painting. But it's funny because I've bought a landscape recently, and it was from the Highgate Contemporary Art Gallery. They have a postcard exhibition every year, and I just bought one of those, and it's a landscape. It's quite muted colours for me, but yeah, it was beautiful, so just grabbed it. So yeah, I don't normally buy other people's art. I have too much of my own to put up, but it's good to mix it up a bit and show your appreciation. Yeah,
definitely. It's nice to have different artists on the wall, so you can, you know, look at them and get some ideas and things. It's always really nice. I often buy pictures of artists that I feel that I definitely wouldn't be able to do that, because it's something I can aspire to and think, oh wow, you know, I wish I could do that.
Exactly. Sort of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all learn from other people, don't we? So absolutely. It's got to be done. So I'm part of an encaustic support group thingy on Facebook, and so people are always putting things on there with different techniques and things that they've done. So that's always a good place to start. And there's the people that make the paint are called R&F Paints, and they do lots of demos on their website as well, and give you tips and so that's quite handy.
That's interesting. Yeah, that'd be nice to see. So you mentioned you may be doing this show with your friend with the photographs. Have you got anything else planned at all, or any other ideas that you're working on? Or
just at the moment, I've just been enjoying having a few bits and pieces in exhibitions at the moment, and that's keeping me busy really. But I'd love to carry on with this exhibition with Debbie, who does photograph, and see where that takes us. But we shall see what this year brings. I haven't got anything else planned. I'm just doing sort of my own thing really.
Your next series of paintings, do you think they'll be based on the springtime or something? Have you got any ideas for what you're doing next?
Ones that I'm doing, and then I think I'll probably move on to summer, considering that's where we'll be at. But obviously that depends on what's out there and what inspires me on walks and stuff. So Blossom at the moment is still big for me.
Fantastic. Well, it's been really lovely talking to you, Sally, and thank you for showing us your thank you for your demonstration.
I don't normally paint in front of people, so it's really nice to do that. Yeah, I was a lot faster than I normally am, but it's been great. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks, Richard.
So it's come to a natural stop, but thank you so much, Sally, for that demonstration. It's just incredible, really, just the process that you go through, and just introducing all these new techniques. It's amazing.
Well, everybody has their own sort of processes, don't they? So it's just it's interesting when you watch somebody else's. So
it is indeed.
It's been good. My first live demo. Never done one before. So,
yes.
So thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're both very welcome. No worries. So next week, Sally, you'll be interviewing Hannah Merrill. So we've gone right back to the start.
We have.
So yes, this is going to be great.
Look forward to that. That'd be good.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Richard, for
thank you.
supplying the questions tonight and for giving your demo, your interview last week. But up until now, you can see the virtual art fair gallery and see Sally and Richard's work on the virtualartfair.co.uk, and you can also find them on Instagram, follow them. So until then, I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye, Lucy. Bye, Rich.
See you later. Bye.